I'm Cassidy Leora, and today is day 20 of NaNoWriMo. Day 20? What? That means that there are only like 10 days left. Currently, my word count is about 33,000 words, I want to say. I haven't looked at it today, so obviously I've gone and forgotten what the actual count is, but it's somewhere around there. But anyway, today I have something special for you guys, and that special something is my super awesome NaNoWriMo tag of awesomeness. This was thought of and created by myself, Cassidy Leora, because I really couldn't find anything that had all of the questions, so I decided to make my own tag, and that's the first time I've ever done this, so we'll see how it goes. But basically what it is I ask and answer 20 questions that has to do with writing and my writing process and just everything in between. I have my notes here on my adorable Clanad paper. Let's get to it. Question number 1. When did you first start writing? I first started writing probably when I was about 9 years old. I always drew pictures and then wrote down little stories to go along with them, and of course they were absolutely awful. Question number 2. What's the first book you ever wrote? Oh my. The first book I ever wrote was actually called The Owl's Eye. I had this huge stack of paper that was scribbled on, and I could hardly spell anything. And oh my gosh, I hid them somewhere in my room, and to this day, I have not found them. I have no idea where I hid them. So I'm kind of glad. Question number 3, how many books have you finished writing? I have finished writing 13 novels, each one at least 50,000 words, but one of them that was the last book in the series ended up with 150,000 words, which was ridiculous. That was actually the novel I did for last year's NaNoWriMo, I believe. So I'm pretty proud of each of the books that I finished, and I have tons of books that were started and even more that I had started, and I'm like that close to finishing. Question number 4, tips on writing faster. I think that this really comes in handy for NaNoWriMo because basically what we're trying to do is get crap on the page as quick as we possibly can. My tip for that is, of course, word sprinting, which is where you set a timer for 15, 20, 30 minutes, whatever you feel comfortable with. Usually I go for 15 minutes because it's kind of a good in-between, but sometimes I set it to 30 minutes, and that's where I try to write 1,000 words in 30 minutes, and yeah, it really helps. And also another tip of mine for writing really fast is to not reread what you just wrote, because that will freak your brain out, and that's unnecessary, and you shouldn't be doing that during NaNoWriMo especially. So a way to help that is to set your font like a really light color so that you can't actually read it as well on black and white on your computer. And if you're writing by hand, I don't really know how you can get around that. It's not really possible, but if you're writing on a computer, which I think most people are, it's really easy just to set the coloring of the letters a different shade, and that makes it a lot harder to reread your stuff. Question number 5, favorite point of view and why? My favorite point of view to write in is obviously first person. I think I've written like a total of 3 books that I never finished in third person because I just really don't like it. I like writing first person because it is very personal and it's inside of their mind. Question number 6, favorite genre to write in? My age range is of course young adult. I have written a few middle grade books, but believe it or not, they all end up being young adult books, and I don't really know how that happens. But after I look back on it, I'm like, yeah, this would fit better young adult. That's happened multiple times. But what my favorite genre is probably either fantasy / romance or contemporary / romance. I usually go with fantasy because that's definitely what I've written more in, but also I have recently started, and I'm almost done with my first ever contemporary book where there's absolutely nothing magical about it, and that was really hard at first, but I found myself really enjoying it because it was completely different. I didn't have to make up a whole bunch of stuff, and it was okay for me to just explore the characters and not have to think of all these magical stuff to throw in. And so it's pretty exciting to get to try out different genres. Those are really the only 2 that I've ever tried, and of course romance, because all of my books are something and romance, because I just love Question number 7, usual inspiration source. Now this question was going to be where you get inspiration from, but I know that a lot of people are like, everywhere, and I completely agree with that. I think inspiration can come from literally anywhere you look, but my usual source of inspiration is probably from dreams. I always have dreams, and I always write them down when I wake up if I can remember them, and usually that ends up in a novel. Question number 8, 3 favorite words. Number 1 would be disheveled. I love that word so much, and I can describe half of my characters with it. My second favorite word would probably be lovely, because I think that's another really good descriptive word, and I use it way too much in my books. And my third favorite word would probably have to be rain, because I love writing rainy scenes, as I've said in a past video. Question number 9, favorite writing music. For each book I've ever written, there's always been something different. For this book, as I've said again in a past video, is usually the Twilight/New Moon soundtrack. Also, I've kind of thrown in a little bit of Muse and Taylor Swift in there, and that's a really weird combination, but for different scenes, I always have different music, so it's a mess. Question number 10, favorite place to write. The location really doesn't matter to me. It can be in a really busy room or in complete silence with my music. I usually like to listen to my music, but if I'm in a room full of people talking, it doesn't really bother me. I can still focus on it no matter what, and I guess that's because I grew up with 2 siblings that were very loud, and I've always had to focus on stuff on my own, so I've kind of learned to zone out the noise around me. Question number 11, what is your writing style? Short, choppy sentences or long, flowy sentences, etc. I can't really define my writing style, because sometimes if it's a really dramatic scene, I do like word by word or sentence by sentence, and it's very abrupt and choppy. But then other times when I'm describing a place or a new setting, I really like to use lots of long, flowy words and make it all blend very well. So I think that there's a time for multiple different writing styles in a book. Question number 12, this is a fun one. Most misspelled word. I would have to go with my. I have lost count of how many times I have misspelled my. It is always me. So if the sentence was like, I dropped my coat, it would be I dropped me coat. So my characters suddenly turn Irish all of the time, apparently, and I don't really know why I do that. Question number 13, most favorite, nope. Question number 13, favorite scenes to write. This could be a description scene or a happy scene, sad scene, dialogue scene, and I would have to go, honestly, with a conversation scene. I really love writing dialogue. It's one of my favorite parts of writing a book, and I think that's a good way to see who they are and how they think and how they phrase things, what kind of words they use. I love writing dialogue. It's my thing. Question number 14, how much do you plan? Not at all. If you haven't noticed by my whole series of videos thus far, I don't plan at all. Usually I have a character interview sheet I fill that out usually for each of my main characters at least, and that really helps me learn about them. I will leave a link down below of some really good ones that you can find. For this book, on the notes on my phone, I had a ton of little scenes, little pieces of dialogue, little actions, I don't know, just some descriptive words, and I'm like, I want this in the book, but that's as far as I get. Okay, I'm trying to go fast. Okay. Question number 15, how much do you research? A lot, a ton. Like, I research a ton. Actually, I have a stack of books down here. Let me see if I can lift it. This is my stack of books that I got from my local library. I'm setting it down now. Oh no. Okay. They just spilled all over the floor. Whatever. Basically, all those books are about ships and the 1700s and ADHD and exploring monsters in the ocean. It's a huge range of stuff. What are you doing?
You alright?
Yeah?
What was that banging?
My books.
Okay.
Go away. Okay. And also my internet search history is very scary. It's a scary place. Like, question number 16. Favorite type of character? I'd have to go with the, as cliche as it sounds, the like dark and tortured character. The reason I like these characters so much in books that I read and books that I write, it's because there's so much more to find out about them. They're all little mysteries and a bundle of sadness, and I think that they have a lot of character to them. Question number 17, write by computer or hand? I would have to obviously say computer, because the only times I've written by hand was when I was like tiny, but soon after that I got this really old computer that could not run internet or anything, and that's where I write all of my poems and stuff on. Thankfully I've gotten my own computer since then, and that's where I write all my stuff on, but even since I was tiny little child, I've written on this really old laptop thing that is like a dinosaur. Question number 18, favorite authors? I'm gonna have to go with Rick Riordan, Cassandra Clare, and Shannon Messenger. I really like Shannon Messenger's middle grade series, Keeper of Lost Cities, along with her young adult series, Let the Sky Fall. Cassandra Clare, I'm a big fan of The Mortal Instruments and The Iron Trial, but I gotta say my favorite of her books is The Infernal Devices. Those are like my favorite books in the world. And I really like Rick Riordan's books because, oh my gosh, they are the best books ever. The Percy Jackson series, the Kane Chronicles, all of them. It's just, oh my gosh. I will leave the links to all of their Goodreads pages down below if you would like to check out their books. You really should.
And also I have to mention Lee Bardugo, who wrote the Grisha trilogy, and Alexandra Bracken, who wrote The Darkest Minds, and Marissa Meyer, who wrote Cinder, and oh my gosh, I need to stop. I'm gonna stop.
Question 19. Plans for the future. A lot. Obviously, my biggest plans for my writing is to get them published eventually. And if you were to ask me if I would rather traditional publishing or self-publishing, I would say traditional publishing. For me, I have nothing against self-publishing. I think it's awesome. But for me, I don't know, I'm really leaning towards traditional publishing. I have a lot of work to do before I can actually send my book out to people, but I'm definitely ready to work on it because ever since I was tiny, this has been it. This has been all I wanted to do with my life. So it's definitely going to happen. I'm going to make it happen. And question number 20. What is your favorite writing quote? I'm probably gonna have to go with something very simple, which is simply 2 words, write bravely. If I repeat that in my head, that encourages me to just go for it because I've read authors' books that are not typical books. They're not written how they ought to be, but those are my favorite kind of books that are very brave and bold. And so that, I'd have to go with that one. It's very simple, it's very short, but I have it repeating in my head all the time because write bravely or don't write at all. And that is my 20 questions. And at the end of a tag video, you're supposed to tag people, but if you are a writer, if you have a YouTube, even if you don't have a YouTube, start one and you may do this. Tag, I tag you. Every single one of you. Just do it. Have fun with it because NaNoWriMo is awesome. And I would love to see people do this. That would just be so awesome. So go ahead and do it and tell me if you do it because I would love to watch it and comment and like it and maybe subscribe to you. Like this video if you liked it, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye bye!